So most of my progress on this hip journey actually came when I was a full-time student and also having a part-time job, while also with this goal of memorizing. And I felt like I had no time. I would be from one place to another or just caught commuting. And then sometimes if I did get like a taste of free time, I would usually just spend it on my phone scrolling or just watching like useless videos. And then once I started getting the uncomfortable feeling of presenting the same exact source to my Quran teacher week on week on week, because I memorized nothing new, that's when I found out I had to make a system. I had to actually start making progress in terms of memorizing new parts of the Quran. You see, I was in this situation I think most young Muslims are in right now, where you can't find that time because you're like have that constant busyness and no structure. And if you're someone who's on this hip journey, it becomes super hard and you might even risk like falling off entirely of this journey. And this is reality. I think this comes because people think they have to choose one, either the dunya path or the full-on memorizing all-in path. And for so long, this is actually why I didn't start memorizing. I thought that in order to memorize, you have to be like in the desert every single day. You couldn't really have a life like you just had to be memorizing every single day, or else you wouldn't be the type of person who could complete their hifd. And the whole thing that changes is just when I got exposed to people who were actually doing both. The people who were here in the West, in school, at work, but they were also like memorizing, completing their entire hifd. So the first step is you have to break the belief that you can't do it, that the fact that like you can't actually do both, because in reality, there's like probably hundreds of thousands of people who are actually doing both. And it took me quite a while of actually experimenting and finding what actually worked for me, because I was the type of person where I was going extreme in each way. So like if I really wanted to memorize that particular week or month, I would notice other stuff in my real life start slipping, and then vice versa. If I was going really intense on school or work, whatever it was, I noticed I wasn't memorizing that much anymore. And alhamdulillah, now I'm at a point where I think I'm a little bit better at balancing both, where I can memorize, but also like maintain just the worldly stuff as well. Now, I'm not going to give you like the basic advice that you just find on Google, like wake up earlier and stuff. That stuff is all works. But I'm going to try to give you like the stuff that I actually do right now, personally, that alhamdulillah allows me to like memorize and revise sometimes for hours a day, even while like having like responsibilities. Now, the first one is in terms of revising Quran, so you don't forget what you've memorized in the past. And you have to do this, like if you're someone who's busy, you have to do this in dead points in the day. Essentially what that means is, you revise in your car, on your commute, while walking. Whenever you get these small little blocks, these small little chunks, even if it's for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I promise you, if you do this consistently, you'll notice at the end of the day, you just dedicated like 1 hour to just revising. And you'd be surprised, you actually have a lot more of these blocks than you realize. If you look at your phone usage, you'll probably see like 4 hours on just maybe podcast, YouTube, whatever it is, but you probably were using it just like during these dead periods. If you were to substitute that with revision, you could dedicate so much more time to revising. And the next thing I'll say is try to actually track exactly where you are in your hifz. I'm not talking about like the surah you're on or the surah you need to revise or whatever, but I'm actually talking about tracking like your progress of Quran. Because a big reason why not too long ago I wasn't making any progress in Quran was because I wasn't tracking. And it's because when you actually track your progress, it kind of serves as a form of accountability. When you look back at the week, or even look back at the day, and you notice, oh, I kind of flopped this day. I wonder what was going on. Was I busy that day? What did I do wrong? You actually start implementing it, so eventually you'll get more consistently because you have like a visual progress tracker. What I've done so far while on this hip journey is I literally time every single time I'm revising or memorizing. And essentially the goal is, so once I see that I'm completing this amount of time with revision memorization consistently, then eventually I realize, okay, so I'm able to do more, and then I'll up it. A lot of people might get intimidated like by this hip journey, but I literally started just by memorizing for like 30 minutes, sometimes even 15 minutes, just because I wanted to build the habit. And then alhamdulillah, eventually now you can get to the point where you're doing it for hours. And now the last thing I try to do is honestly just a general productivity tip, but it's try not to like overly dedicate unnecessary things to a particular task you're on. You may have heard of this thing called the Pareto principle, which essentially means that 20% of your actions in whatever field yield basically 80% of the results. So think about it. The 20% of the things that you do is the vast majority of the results you're going to get. But so many people bother with these other little like supplemental tasks. And this literally goes for like everything in life, the work, the school, whatever it is. If you realize like, okay, if I just do like a high leverage task for maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, then I can have like the whole day free to just memorize. I remember towards the end of college, it's exactly what I tried to do. I would go to like some cafe at like 6 or 7 a.m., do my entire week's homework, and then just try to dedicate whatever free time I had for the rest of the week to trying to use that to memorize. And honestly, especially if it's something that's not that serious or something you don't really care about, if you could just get it done, finish it, and then boom, go to the task that you really care about, that's like something that I'm trying to do more and more of. Because memorization is unique in the sense where you actually kind of do need like a cool 1 hour of unbothered time to really focus in and like memorize a page. But the thing is like that lasts you for your entire life. If you're still watching this, you probably had that experience where you've memorized a page and then maybe you went a few days to start revising it. But you know that feeling of like once you come back to revise it, you can pick it back up like pretty quickly. So this goes to show you just like memorizing something one time can like literally serve you for the rest of your life. The last tip that honestly might change everything for you is finding some kind of accountability. Because let's be honest, it's just human nature. If something's not really obligatory to us, something that's not like life or death, essentially you're probably just going to put it off to your emotions. You're going to get lazy about it, and you're only going to be operating at like 10% of your potential. And this is what happened to me for the first few months of my hip journey. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have any form of accountability. So I just memorized whenever I wanted to If I didn't feel like it, I wouldn't do it that day. And at the end of the week, the end of the month, I would notice like almost the majority of the time I didn't even memorize. And again, it's because you don't have any form of accountability. Once you actually have someone who's like waiting for you to memorize, waiting for you to present something new the next week and knows exactly where you're at in your memorization, that's when you'll actually feel like obliged, okay, I have to memorize. And by the way, if you're looking for that, inshallah, feel free to join our community in the description. Inside, that's exactly what we try to build. Because honestly, productivity isn't really like how much things you can do in a day. It's really like what you try to align your life to be. Even with like a corporate job, a school, whatever it is, you got to align yourself to what really matters. And for most of us, that's the Quran. And if you're watching this, you probably also want to make huge progress on a hib journey. And you'd be surprised if you're someone who thinks like, I have no time in my day. There's no way I can make any progress on hib with the Quran or anything like that. It's really just a system. With just a small little tweaks, you can actually make it so you're making good progress with the Quran. But yeah, that was everything that's helped me on this hib journey so far. And yeah, inshallah, if you're trying to join a kind of community where not only you feel that sense of accountability, but you can also present what you memorize weekly and be corrected. And also, like I said, have that form of accountability or just answer any general questions regarding hib, feel free to join our school community. Inshallah, the link's in the description. But yeah, inshallah, there's a benefit. Assalamu alaikum.